Good afternoon to everyone. We are the 8th presenter to discuss the Chapter 8 entitled Teacher as Curriculum Leaders. Before we proceed to our lesson objectives, let me introduce first my groupmates. Bautista Joyce Ann, Marantal Florilyn, Pontejos Princess Diane, and yours truly, Vasquez Patricia May. And for our lesson objectives, at the end of the lesson, the students must be able to first, discuss the key roles of teacher leaders in curriculum processes. Second, discuss the importance of teachers as curriculum leaders in planning and evaluating instruction. Third, discuss the roles of teachers as curriculum leaders in the K-12 education program. And lastly, identify ways to develop teacher leaders in curriculum. Now let's discuss the key roles of teachers as leaders in curriculum processes. Teachers play an important role in almost all activities related to curriculum processes. They are the chief implementers of curriculum because of these following reasons. Number one, they are directly involved in the teaching and learning process. So, ang mga guro natin, yung mas nakakaalam kung paano at ano ang dapat na itinuturo nila sa kanilang mga estudyante. Dahil kagaya na lamang nung face-to-face classes pa, mas matagal ang inilalagi ng mga bata sa paaralan kaysa sa bahay. Kaya mas madalas nakakasama ni teacher ang kanyang mga estudyante, kaya naman lubos niyang kilala yung mga estudyante niya. Kaya alam niya kung paano at ano dapat ba yung itinuturo niya para mapaunlad pa yung pagkatuto ng isang bata. Second, because they are catalysts of the development of individuals and societies. Teachers know their students very well, as I've said earlier. So they know how to motivate them. And di ba may mga teachers tayo na minsan nakakausap natin kapag may mga tanong tayo tungkol sa iba't ibang bagay. And through that, naa-assess na tayo nung teachers natin kung paano ba sila makakagawa ng curriculum na sasagot sa pangangailangan nung kanilang mga estudyante. Through that assessment is nalalaman ng teachers kung saan ba magaling or saan mahina yung isang bata. They have a strong passion for mission to make a positive difference in the lives of students. They see themselves as key sources of knowledge and developers of skills and values that are imperative for human lives. And that's why teachers are curriculum leaders in the education system. So if mothers knows what's best for their children, well, the teacher knows what is best for their students. So now let's discuss what is curriculum leadership. So it can simply define as a set of important roles and activities that each teacher does in relation to curriculum planning, curriculum design, curriculum implementation, and curriculum evaluation. So in curriculum leadership, teachers are expected to innovate and develop curriculum that are relevant and responsive to the needs and to the context of the learners. So they serve as education ambassadors to different stakeholders, and they are advocates of various curricular reforms. So just like what I've said earlier, our teachers know what is best for their students. So the activities that our teacher give us before is may purpose pala, di ba? May reason pala kung bakit sila nagpapasulat ng essay, kung bakit sila nagpapa-recitation, and that is to know what coincides with the learner's needs. Teachers as curriculum leaders share the vision and mission of the whole country on education. So they are shapers of positive educational environment, and they are guardians of educational values. They are visionaries and effective problem solvers. They develop visions of a great society and use education as a tool for accomplishing this vision. They study social issues, needs, and demands. They respond carefully to the needs and interests of the students. They creatively solve problems related to teaching and learning. So that's why our teachers are very important to us. because they have several roles in our education. In many literatures, instruction is included in curriculum. Many teachers assume instructional leadership in school in the subject they teach. So the following are some of the specific roles of teacher as instructional leaders in the local school context. So first we have designing instructional plans. So they are the ones who create the outline or blueprint for the organization of a course, such as the alignment among the learning objectives, content, instructional strategy, and activities, and also the assessment items. And second, we have selecting and developing instructional materials. So the teachers modify the instructional materials that can allow learners to have practical experiences which will help them to develop the skills and concepts to work in a variety of ways. And third is the assessing and reporting students' progress. So our teacher always monitor us in the class, right? Kaya nga minsan 'di ba nagkakaroon tayo ng remedial class because through the teacher's assessment nalalaman nila kung sino ba yung nangangailangan ng tutok na paliwanag or tutok na pagtuturo tungkol dun sa lesson na napag-aralan nyo. So next is designing learning environment appropriate for the students. So as much as possible, teachers try to make a conducive learning environment for their class. They always try to make their instruction lively and interactive. Kaya nga, minsan 'di ba, ang ginagawa every month is nagpapalit-palit tayo ng seatmates, 'di ba, kagaya ng high school. So, hindi lang pala yun dahil sa trip ng teacher, kundi dahil sa gumagawa siya ng maayos na atmosphere for their class. Selecting appropriate teaching strategies and approaches. Teacher always try their best in choosing what is the most effective teaching strategy for his or her class. Next is preparing reports and accomplishing official forms. Kaya dati 'di ba? Minsan wala daw klase kasi minsan nagre-reading ng grades dun sa office or kaya sa faculty or kaya na minsan palalapitin tayo nung isa-isa dun sa unahan ng teacher natin para tingnan if tama ba yung spelling ng name natin or tama ba yung middle initial, tama ba yung birthday natin, and etc. Next is guiding students in their school life. So oftenly ito yung mga class advisors. Di ba minsan is nangungumusta sila, so kamusta ba yung subjects nyo, how's your relationship with your other teachers, something like that. So ayan, sila yung nag-guide sa atin kahit pa hindi na yun kasama dun sa mismong tinuturo nila. Next is teaching subjects assigned to them. So of course, the main function of teacher is to teach. Kung anong subject ang napatapat sa kanya, sa teacher, kailangan niyang ituro. Major man niya yun or hindi. So as a teacher, kailangan is flexible tayo. Let's move on to our next topic. So being a curriculum leader allows every teacher to see themselves as prime movers and advocates of educational reforms at any level from a local school, district, division, region, and national level. So, I am going to give you the following A to C roles and function of teachers as curriculum leaders in their own schools, district, division, or regional level. Now, first is we have letter A, advocate positive curricular reforms to ensure quality of education. And letter B, broaden understanding of teaching and learning process. Letter C, conduct research to enhance curriculum content and improve teaching and learning. So, it is the duty of teachers to make research on how to improve more the process of teaching and learning. They gather various information on what are the current trends in education. So, inaalam nila kung ano ba yung sa tingin nila is makakatulong sa mga estudyante ngayon. So, inaalam nila kung ano ba yung mga lessons na makakatulong sa estudyante na mas ma-improve pa niya yung sarili niya at saka maaaring tumugon dun sa demand ng society ngayon. Now, we have letter D, develop appropriate curriculum for students. Next is letter E, evaluate curriculum materials and implementation of curriculum. So the teachers are responsible for analyzing the instructional materials to be used in teaching. They ensure that it will help the learners in developing practical learning. And now let's move on to the letter F. Facilitate activities to ensure public understanding of every single curriculum reform. Next is letter G, gather important data needed for curriculum planning. So it is related with the letter C, which is conducting research to enhance curriculum content. So I've discussed it earlier, and this letter G is somehow related to that explanation. So letter H, harness community resources and curriculum development. Letter I, innovate curriculum and instruction. Letter J, justify the need to innovate, evaluate, and develop curriculum. Letter K, know every learner's needs and issues and interests. Dito na pumapasok yung assessment na ginagawa ng teachers natin. So dahil sa assessment, nalalaman ng teacher kung ano ba ang kailangan ng bata, saang part ba ng lesson siya medyo mahina, at kung saang area naman ba siya magaling. So dito, ina-assess tayo ng teachers para malaman kung ano pa ba yung kulang or ano pa ba yung kailangan nilang idagdag sa pagkatuto ng bata. So letter L is lobby congressional support for bills that are needed for curriculum reforms. Letter M, manage curriculum implementation and curriculum change. Letter N, nurture creativity and critical thinking in the curriculum. Letter O is orient teachers, students, parents, and other stakeholders in the new curriculum. So dito naman ay obligasyon ni teacher na ipalam sa bata, sa mga magulang, ang bagong curriculum. So one best example is yung K-12 curriculum. So natatandaan ko pa noon na nagkaroon ng meeting sa school. Hindi ko matandaan kung elementary pa yata ako nun. So, ipinatawag yung teachers to inform them kung tungkol saan ba yung bagong curriculum para aware sila kung ano ba yung mga pagbabago na mangyayari dun sa pag-aaral ng bata. Letter P is provide updated knowledge on the subject they teach. Hindi lang Facebook, hindi lang Instagram, and hindi lang din Twitter ang laging nag-update. So, kundi pati rin yung itinuturo ng ating teachers. So, they are doing their best to find the new knowledge na maituturo nila to their students. Dahil nga sa pabago-bagong demand ng ating society, syempre dapat is nag-improve din yung informations na itinuturo ng ating teachers sa kanilang mga estudyante. And now, let's move on to letter Q. Qualify acceptable curriculum ideas and theories. Letter R, reflect on different researches that influence the curriculum. So this is also related with conducting research. So syempre, once na nakapag-gather na sila ng data, yung mga teachers, they have to draw conclusions based on the results. And after nun is, i-analyze nila ano ba yung factors na nakakaapekto sa maganda or sa mababang epekto nung ginagamit nila na curriculum. So, ano ba yung nagiging resulta ng curriculum na ginagamit nila doon sa mga estudyante na pumapasok under that curriculum. Letter S, select appropriate instructional strategies, methods, and approaches. Again, this is related to letter E, evaluate curriculum materials and the implementation of the curriculum. So now let's move on to letter T, train teachers who will implement the curriculum. So here, the teachers should be well trained and they should have the mastery on the subject matter they should have the enough knowledge from the seminars and trainings, so they know how to handle their class kapag nabago na ang isang curriculum. So sabi nga nila, hindi mo kaya na ibigay yung knowledge na hindi mo naman alam. So letter U, understand implications of social issues and social changes in the curriculum. Letter V, validate the contents of the curriculum. And W, win support from stakeholders and government on needed curriculum reforms. So we have letter X, or sing or crossing out bureaucratic barriers to curriculum implementation. So we still have two more letters. So that is letter Y and Z. So Y, yearn for quality education through a relevant and responsive curriculum. Letter Z, zero out irrelevant and erroneous curriculum contents and materials. So that is the A to Z roles of teachers in curriculum. So the task of teachers as curriculum leaders may seem be very ideal and overwhelming. So considering the fact that teacher education in this country needs a major reform. However, time is changing fast, and schools cannot wait and simply respond to the needs of the society. So to prepare would be inappropriate and too late. So the proper response is to create the kind of citizens and society we need. This means that teachers have no choice but to assume their roles as curriculum leaders. So, kumbaga is hindi na inaantay ng teachers na sila i-appoint bilang curriculum leaders, kundi nagkukusa na sila kasi alam naman nila na sila yung magkakaroon ng major role sa pagbabago or sa pagbuo ng curriculum kung saan ito yung mas makatutulong sa mga estudyante.
Good day everyone, I'm Florilyn Elmarantal, and the two topics I'll be discussing are teachers as curriculum leaders in the instructional planning process and teachers as curriculum leaders in evaluating instruction. Teachers as curriculum leaders in the instructional planning process. Instructional leadership is always associated with school administrators, particularly school principals. Leiva 2005 and Ornstein and Hankins 1993 defined curriculum to include instruction. Curriculum and instruction, as a result, are inextricably linked. An instruction dealing with the curriculum's implementation is included in the curriculum processes. In comparison to instructional leadership, curriculum leadership has a greater scope and includes more functions. One of the responsibilities of curriculum leaders is to provide instructional leadership. McA1 2003 pointed out that instructional leaders must be knowledgeable about learning theory, effective instruction, and curriculum, which she recognized as the power within the educational force. As a result, curriculum leaders can effectively convey the school's philosophy, vision, mission, core values, curriculum, and plans to learners, teachers, parents, and other stakeholders. Curriculum leaders may be required to do the following duties as part of their instructional leadership responsibilities. So first is supervise the implementation of curriculum and academic standards. Or curriculum leaders must ensure that curriculum and academic standards are followed. Next is promote a school culture and climate conducive to teaching and learning. They must encourage a teaching and learning friendly school culture and climate. Next is communicate the philosophy, vision, and mission of the school. Then, train teachers and school staff. Next is lead in the development or purchase of instructional materials. So, as curriculum leaders, at bilang part na din ng kanilang instructional leadership responsibilities, kailangan nilang mag-participate in the creation or acquisition of educational materials. Then, prepare the school budget for instruction. Next, observe classes of teachers. And lastly, check assessment tools such as exams and authentic assessment. So, these instructional leadership tasks are carried out by curriculum leaders dynamically and democratically. They motivate teachers and students to strive for excellence in teaching and learning. They devise effective mechanisms to ensure that instruction is carried out smoothly. As curriculum leaders, teachers must plan successful instruction. Reiser and Dick, 1996, created an instructional planning model that lays out a fairly logical path of instructional planning. The image you see, figure 23, is Reiser and Dick's instructional planning model. The instructional plans contained herein are: identify instructional goals, identify objectives. Under it are analyze content and analyze learners' characteristics. Next is develop assessment tools, plan instructional activities, choose instructional media, implement instruction, and revise instruction. According to Reiser and Dick's model, teachers must guarantee that the curriculum standards and competencies indicated in the instructional goals are carefully applied. So while teachers set the lesson objectives, this model highlights the importance of analyzing the content and the learner's qualities. After determining the lesson's objectives, the model stresses the construction of assessment tools. This will guarantee that appropriate assessment instruments are used to assess students' learning, which is connected with the instructional goals. So the following instructional procedures are included in Reiser and Dick's approach to planning instruction: motivation, presentation of objectives, recalling prerequisite skills and knowledge, presentation of information and examples, practice and feedback, summary, and assessment. To ensure that education is successful, teachers might employ a variety of teaching tactics and learning activities. Teachers must respond to students' learning demands and match their teaching techniques to each student's preferred learning style. So as a result, planning is required. So here are some things to consider in implementing instruction. First, educational media and other instructional tools are equally crucial in the classroom. Teachers must choose instructional media that will aid in the proper implementation of the lesson objectives. Millennial students are interested in technology and other forms of educational media. Millennial students virtually always use technology, particularly the internet, to learn about their classes. They incorporate technology into nearly every area of their curriculum. Next, the real teaching and learning process is included in the implementation of instruction. The teacher's ability to properly carry out the lesson is required in this phase of the lesson. Classroom management, suitable activity selection, and assessment tools are also required. The final step in the procedure is to revise the instructions. So during this process, the instructor will revise instruction based on the results of the students' assessments. Teachers, as curriculum leaders, must understand how to use assessment results to improve classroom instruction. Now, let's move on to our next topic, which is teachers as curriculum leaders in evaluating instruction. So, teachers' role as curriculum leaders also includes evaluating instruction. Teachers must guarantee that the curriculum is followed precisely. It guarantees that all students are taught the curriculum requirements and competencies properly. The effectiveness of how the curriculum is implemented is also measured while evaluating instruction. In evaluating instruction, teachers should consider the following approaches. So first, planning for the evaluation. So teachers must consider several factors when arranging the evaluation to achieve a positive outcome. So they must understand or create the evaluation's goals and objectives, determine the information and data that will be required, and also decide on an evaluation schedule. So second, determine instructional evaluation design. Teachers will need to describe the following in instructional evaluations, just as they do in curriculum evaluations. So types of data required for the evaluation, information sources, methods for gathering the required data, methods for examining the collected data, and timetable for completing the evaluation. And third, develop instructional evaluation instruments. Teachers must think about or create tools for evaluating instruction. So consider the following: class observation guide, checklist, questionnaires, survey forms, and interview guide. So fourth, collect data. The teachers will obtain the essential data for the instructional evaluation by using the following methods. So focus group discussion, interview with the students and teachers, actual class observation, examining samples of the students' output, examining assessment tools used in the classes, checking the facilities and other instructional materials, checking lesson plans, and interview with principals and supervisors. Fifth, analyze data. So in this part, the data will be analyzed and the results will be interpreted by the professors. And for the last procedure, number 6, report findings or the results of the instructional evaluation. Instructional evaluation could concentrate on the following factors during actual class observation. So first, appropriateness of the activities and strategies for the students and the topic. Second, active participation of students in performing learning tasks. Third, the usefulness of instructional materials in meeting the desired objectives of the lesson. So it is the effectiveness of teaching materials in achieving the lesson's goals. And fourth, conduciveness of the classroom environment for learning, or the classroom environment's suitability for learning. And fifth, pedagogical content knowledge or PCK level of teachers. Sixth, classroom management. Seventh, development of positive relationship between students and teachers, or positive relationships between students and teachers are formed. 8. Effective presentation of concepts. So, ito yung presentation of ideas in an effective manner. And 9. Effectiveness of the teacher in carrying out the instructional procedures. So, ito naman yung teacher's ability to carry out educational procedures effectively. The outcome of the instructional evaluation is crucial in developing strategies for improving the curriculum and its implementation. The outcome can also be used to create a mentoring program for new instructors.
Good day, everyone. My name is Princess Dea G. Pontejos, and my topic is Teachers as Curricular Leaders in the K-12 Education Reform. Republic Act 10523, it is known as the Enhanced Basic Education Act of the Philippines, includes specific provisions for teachers and principals to exercise leadership. So in this Republic Act, it was implemented that the teachers and principals' role are not just being the leader in the instructions, but also in the curriculum. It is an act to improve the Philippine basic education system by strengthening the curriculum and increasing the number of years of basic education. Next is Republic Act 9155. It also known as Governance of Basic Education Act of 2001, it specifies important provisions that teachers play an important role to promote quality of education. It is an act wherein the teachers have a task to protect the rights of the citizens to have quality education and also to provide such education available to all by giving all Filipino children with free and obligatory elementary education as well as free high school education. Innovative educational systems for out-of-school adolescents and adult learners must also be included in such schooling. The purpose of basic education shall be to provide students with the skills, information, and values they require to become compassionate, self-sufficient, productive, and patriotic citizens. With all the reforms and innovations in the K-12 program, teachers need to view themselves as curriculum leaders performing the following functions. Teacher empowerment is at the heart of K-12 education, and here are the functions that the teachers need to follow. First, ensure effective implementation of curriculum standards and competencies. Curriculum specifies what students should know and be able to accomplish within a specific content area, whereas standards specify what students should know and be able to do within that content and determines how students will acquire the knowledge, skills, and abilities outlined in the standards. Next is develop and evaluate curriculum materials that are appropriate for the students. The term evaluation in education refers to activities encompassing curriculum, programs, interventions, instructional methods, and organizational factors. The purpose of curriculum evaluation is to investigate the impact of the curriculum on student learning, and it could be an internal activity and procedure performed by many departments inside the educational system. Standardized tests, performance-based exam, ability tests, aptitude tests, and IQ tests are all accessible to students to satisfy a range of purposes. Next is develop assessments and evaluation tools to assess learners. Teachers should be the one to create an assessment wherein the students are able to share what they learn from the lessons and to create tools or activities so they can assess the students' learnings. Next is plan and evaluate curriculum. The purpose of curriculum evaluation is to determine the worth of the curriculum. It is the program appropriate for the specific kids with whom it is being used? Are the educational methods chosen the best alternatives in light of the goals sought? Is the content the best that could have been chosen? Those are the questions that needed to answer to know if the plan and evaluation of a curriculum is worth it. Next is plan activities that will help implement the curriculum. A teacher can determine whether an activity will fit into a given time period while also engaging students. They are assigned in implementing activities that will help all in the curriculum. Next is solicit support from parents and other stakeholders. So, the importance of parental involvement in a child's education process as well as the numerous impediments that hinder it cannot be overstated. It would be beneficial to make progress in improving parental participation's attitudes and raising their understanding of its relevance. Education must encourage and invest in discussion with parents as well as increase their ability to develop successful approaches for parental involvement. Next is make curricular decisions at the school level. So schools are encouraged to make curricular and instructional strategy decisions through school-based decision making. These choices should be made within the context of the district's goals or the core curriculum mandated by the district or the state. Next is conduct research to improve learning and improve content. Nowadays, research is important, especially academically. Why? Because it enhances and provides students new knowledge that will help improve the skills of the students. Here are the following that the teachers are compelled to focus their attention since the K-12 curriculum is a standard-based curriculum reform. First, clarity of the standards. Teachers should know the essential standards that every student should learn in the curriculum. And yung mga standards na kailangan ma-focusan dito is yung contents or knowledge, skills and values, or yung mga attitudes na kailangan maintindihan ng students at mga kailangan nilang ma-practice. Next is visibility of performance. Measure teachers need to ensure that each curriculum standard shows visible outcome or performance. Kailangan every assessment or task na binibigay ng teacher sa students ay may nakikitang improvements or nagkakaroon ng result na naaayon sa curriculum standards. Kumbaga, namimit dapat yung standards in the curriculum ng mga students. Next is consistency of communication. Teachers should effectively communicate the standards to all students. So, mahalaga na alam ng mga students yung standards na kailangan nilang so, para mas maintindihan at malaman din nila yung dapat na may paliwanag at masabi ng mga teachers yon sa students nila at para na yung mas maunawaan nila ang mga standards na yun at kung ano ang halaga ng pag-aaral nito. So, teachers as curriculum leaders in the K-12 education reform are all about the teachers must share the K-12 education vision. They must constantly increase their knowledge of the things they they teach. They must also greatly increase their instructional abilities. Teachers in the K-12 program must be creative and imaginative in order to adapt to the demands of their students. And now, let's talk about the teachers as curriculum leaders in preschool. So, under this is Republic Act 10157. Kindergarten education is integrated into the formal education system under the Kindergarten Education Act. A kindergarten diploma is now required to enroll in grade 1. The Act also requires that all children under the age of 5 attend kindergarten. It was once considered a privilege for those whose parents could afford to send their children to kindergarten. So, ang Republic Act na ito is about sa pagpapatupad ng kindergarten education as a formal education here in the Philippines. And before mag-grade 1 ng isang bata, kailangan muna na may diploma siya na nagpapatunay na nag-take siya ng kinder bago siya tumutong ng grade 1. The Department of Education issued a curriculum to be implemented by all kindergarten schools in the country. The curriculum includes several domains that need to be developed among young children. It includes the following areas. First, values education. Next is physical health and motor development. Next, social and emotional development, cognitive development, sensory perceptual motor development, mathematics, understanding of the physical and natural environment. Next is understanding of the social environment. And last is language, literacy, and communication. The new kindergarten curriculum needs teachers who are highly trained in handling young children's behavior and in guiding them toward learning. So, ang mga teachers ang magdidesisyon ng mga ituturo nila sa bata, syempre, and what materials they going to use and assessment tools na gagamitin nila sa kanilang klase. And kinakailangan ng mga teachers ay kaya mag-advocate ng children's education, yung karapatan ng mga bata, at sila rin ang magpoprotect sa kanila. Considering the cultural diversity in the country, there is a need for teachers to develop new curriculum materials that are relevant and also responsive to the context and culture of the learners, and to integrate multicultural literacy and cultural competencies in the curriculum. Since there is a lot of different cultures na pwedeng ma-encounter ng isang teacher sa loob ng kanyang classroom, the teachers need to create new materials na mahalaga sa culture ng learners niya and para may paintindi niya ang multicultural literacy and cultural competencies na meron sa curriculum. With the implementation of modern fund-based multilingual education starting in kindergarten, there is a need for teachers to study new ways of the learning the pedagogy and new curriculum designs for contextualizing curriculum. With implementations of multilingual education simula ng kindergarten, ang mga teachers ay kailangan pag-aralan ang wika ng kanyang mga tuturuan and kailangan nilang mag-produce ng mga paraan na sa pagtuturo ng mother tongue sa kanyang mga estudyante. The inclusion of kindergarten in the formal education curriculum of the country necessitates all education to study the child-centered philosophy in the context of standardization of curriculum and modernization of pedagogy. Since isinali na ang kindergarten as a formal education sa ating bansa, kailangan na mas maaral ng teacher at mapagtuunan ng pansin kung ano ang mga pangangailangan at kung natututo ba talaga ang bata, kung ang mga bata ba ay naaangkop ang katangian sa curriculum standards. And also, they need to find different methods or techniques para malaman ang progress ng pagkatuto ng isang bata. And dapat ang mga paraan na yun ay angkop sa bagong rule ng standard-based education. Teachers as curriculum leaders in the elementary grades. Primary education is always regarded as the laboratory of life, as much as its primary goal is to develop the basic skills. So, primary education, ito yung umpisa kung saan natutulungan ng teachers ang students na ma-develop yung basic skills nila to prepare sa future na tatahakin nila. Ang mga subjects dito ay nagbibigay informations na makakatulong sa learners na mas maintindihan ang values na meron sa mundo. The elementary curriculum is essential in helping every learners learn how to learn. This curriculum is helpful to learners since nabibuild dito yung creativity and critical thinking nila. Elementary curriculum will expose learners to the knowledge embedded in each subject. Yung mga knowledges na makukuha nila sa subjects nila during elementary grades are the history of people, culture and values, life skills, and basic understanding of natural and physical world. Teachers as curriculum leaders are researchers. Ang mga teachers ay researchers. Why? Because mas pinag-aaralan nilang mabuti yung mga ways kung paano mas matututo ang learners and sila'y nag-a-adapt ng mga informations na related sa kanilang tinuturo. Napapakita nila yung bawat subject na tinuturo nila is may connection sa isa't isa. Teachers as a curriculum leaders are empowered to design a new learning environment that celebrates diverse ideas and learning styles. And now let's move on to the teachers as curriculum leaders in high school. Next is teachers as curriculum leaders in high school. It is the entry point of students to various disciplines in the areas of science, social sciences, mathematics, humanities, and applied disciplines such as home economics and vocational technology. Ang high school naman, ito ay kasali sa K-12 program. Ito ay nagsisimula sa grade 7 until grade 10. Dito, tinuturo yung ibang disciplines or mas kilala dati as subjects na iba sa kung ano ay tinuturo during elementary days. The curriculum for junior high school follows the spiral curriculum design, enabling the learners to see the seamless connections of one topic to another at the horizontal and vertical levels. So, spiral progressions ng mga itinuturo nila is being observed as sa curriculum. Teachers in this curriculum should master the disciplines and tulungan at hayaan na ma-experience ng bata ang kagandahan ng mga knowledge na makukuha nila sa mga disciplines na ito. In the junior high school, students are exposed to higher levels of learning. This is their first encounter to study the disciplines as disciplines and not as subjects. Kumbaga sa high school, matuturing na natin na higher subject yung mga itinuturo dito compared sa elementary days. Dito, upgraded yung math like algebra or a calculus na hindi itinuturo sa elementary. history like economics and deeper learning of the Philippines history, and mga subjects na makakatulong sa kanila in their everyday life. In junior high school, teachers will assume leadership roles by sharing their disciplinary expertise to the students. Since teacher ang may pinaka-master sa mga disciplines na nabanggit kanina, sila yung mag-iisip ng effective ways para ma-deliver at mapaunawa nila sa bata yung mga nilalaman at importansya ng bawat disciplines. At kung ano yung mga nilalaman talaga ng mga subjects na yun. Teachers are content experts and effective facilitators of teaching and learning process. Teachers ang nagpaplano ng effective lessons and ng mga strategies na relevant sa pagkatuto ng kanyang mga estudyante. So now let's talk about teachers as curriculum leaders in senior high school. So now, teachers as curriculum leaders in senior high school. The senior high school is something new in the educational program for basic education in the Philippines. Ito yung pinakabago na nadagdag sa educational program sa ating bansa. Ito yung dagdag na 2 taon to prepare students for global demands. The senior high school program is a 2-year education program added to the 10 years of basic education in the Philippines. In senior high school, students will choose their own track from academic track, technical and vocational track, and arts and sports track. These tracks will be beneficial to them if yung track na kinuha nila is related sa profession na tatahakin nila or kukunin nila sa college. And since sabi nila ito yung pinaka-umpisa ng college, meron na 4 na specialization sa academic track na ino-offer sa Philippines. Yun ay ang GAS, STEM, General Academic, Humanities and Social Sciences, and Business. Those tracks are to develop the following. First, life and career skills. Second is learning and innovation skills. Next is information and media skills. And last is communication skills. The senior high school teachers will need to develop and implement lessons that are first, learner-centered, inclusive, and developmentally appropriate. Next is relevant, responsive, and research-based. Next is pedagogical approaches that are constructivist, inquiry-based, reflective, collaborative, and integrative. Excuse me. This will be developed in senior high school with the help of the teachers. Sila yung nagpe-prepare sa students sa professions na kukunin nila in the near future or sa college. And matuturuan nila ng mga skills and knowledge na kailangan nila sa future professions nila at sa everyday life din nila. Also, kailangan din nila mai-apply dito sa senior high school yung mga natutunan nila during their high school days. Kung ano yung mga tinuro nung junior high school, kailangan tanda pa din daw nila sa senior high school. In the senior high school program, teachers play a crucial role in developing the professional skills and attitudes of their students. So dito, ang nagpe-play ng crucial part ay ang mga teacher, since they are the leaders in this curriculum. Sila yung mga nagte-take ng lead para masigurado na yung mga students nila ay namamaster yung course standards and competencies na binigay ng Department of Education for the senior high school curriculum. Teachers as curriculum leaders will plan, design, develop, and implement curriculum appropriate for the students and aligned to the K-12 education program. Sila yung nagpaplano, nagde-design, nagde-develop, at nag-implement ng curriculum na appropriate sa students nila. And that's all for my report. Thank you for listening.
Teachers as curriculum leaders of 21st century learning. Ang 21st century ay nagmarka at nagpave ng way para magkaroon ng madaming pagbabago at madaming challenges na dala ng mga bagay tulad ng globalization, paglago ng isang individual at ng kulturang ginagalawan niya, economic situation, political issues, tulad ngayon, 'di ba, very vocal yung mga kabataan pagdating sa politics kasi mas pinadali ng technology na masabi ng bawat isa yung gusto nilang sabihin through the use of social media. At lahat ng factors na to ang nag-demand at mas nag-improve at nag-innovate ng education. I-reshape yung education para ma-meet o maabot ang mga needs and challenges ng mga estudyante at ng society na ginagalawan ng bawat isa. Teachers as curriculum leaders play an important role in this endeavor. They need to develop new curriculum materials, and new instructional design that will prepare the learners to meet the needs and demands of 21st century learning. Teachers ang responsable sa lahat ng mga bagay na dapat esekisuhin sa pag-develop ng new curriculum. Nasa heart ng innovation ay teachers. Teachers ang mag-a-apply nito sa teaching and learning process. Teachers need a lot of professional and personal updating. Ibig sabihin nito, kailangan knowledgeable enough ang teachers lalo na ngayong 21st century learning. Kailangan ng mga teachers na mayroong high degree of technological, pedagogical content knowledge and hindi pwedeng hindi marunong gumamit ng Zoom or Google Meet man lang kasi magsasuffer ang learning ng mga bata. Ito ay era kung saan halos lahat ng information ay kaya nang ma-access through the use of internet and gadgets. Kaya gamitin natin ang gift of technology sa tamang paraan. Let's make the most out of it at gamitin ito sa teaching and learning. Middlewood and Burton, 2001, noted that 21st century teaching and learning would need a completely new paradigm of learning. This new paradigm of learning focuses on developing critical thinking, creativity, communication skills, and collaboration. Kung mapapansin nyo, ito yung mga bagay na sinasabi na kailangan bigyan ng focus at pansin na i-develop yung mga skills na madalas at talagang kailangan sa trabaho. Mas inihahanda tayo nito sa mga bagay na kailangan natin na matutunan sa oras na lumabas tayo sa school at i-apply sa mga real-world problems. Law and Glover, 2000, also identified new features of education focusing on learning how to learn. Ibig sabihin, mas magpo-focus sa mga bagay at pamamaraan sa kung paano tayo matuto. From the word itself, learning how to learn. Kung paano tayo mas magiging better students at ano yung mga ways kung paano mas mabilis at mas effective na way para matuto. Next, learning as a process, a journey. Ibig sabihin nito ay ang learning ay isang proseso ng pag-acquire ng new understanding, knowledge, behaviors, skills, values, and attitudes. Ito ay dahan-dahan at hinihimay. Hindi mo buo na isusubo sa bata. Dapat step by step tinuturo at sama-samang pinag-aaralan. Kaya isa siyang journey kasi may iisang path na tatahakin at may goal na dapat abutin at matutunan. Next, learning as a lifelong process. Ibig sabihin nito ay ang pagpapatuloy na matuto throughout our lives. Kailangan everyday. Ikaw mismo, meron kang motivation na matuto at maging uhaw sa kaalaman. Next is teacher as a learner. Kailangan din ng teachers na continually matuto at mag-crave sa kaalaman. Hindi dahil teacher ka na magsastop ka ng matuto sa mga bagay-bagay. Kapag ganun, mapag-iiwanan ka. Mag-strive tayo lagi na matuto dahil pag tumigil tayong matuto, anong ituturo natin sa mga bata? Sabi nga, diba, you cannot give what you do not have. There are several developments which have significantly influenced curriculum development and teaching and learning in the 21st century. Increasing discoveries on how the human brain works, idea of learning styles and thinking preferences, ICT integration in education, and development of learning organizations. Dahil dito sa mga nangyari na to, katulad ng pagdiskubre ng kung paano gumagana ang utak ng tao, na-influence ng mga to ang pag-develop ng curriculum. Kasi hindi naman pwedeng sa pag-develop ng ICT integration sa education, ay manatiling ganun pa din yung curriculum. Kailangan itong i-improve at i-develop para makasabay at maibigay yung needs and demands ng society. Dahil sa mabilis na pag-develop at pag-evolve ng mga bagay-bagay ngayon sa mundo, ganun din ang role ng teacher as curriculum leaders. Kailangan patuloy na nag-e-evolve at nagde-develop ka bilang isang individual, lalong-lalo na bilang isang guro. The role of teachers as curriculum leaders will continue to remain crucial in ensuring the success of the education system and in making the curriculum relevant and responsive to the needs of the learners and the society. Teachers ang heart ng innovation. Tayo ang mag-a-apply nito sa araw-araw nating pamumuhay at sa araw-araw na pagharap natin sa mga estudyante. Napaka-importante ng role natin bilang teachers, kaya hindi dapat tayo sumuko at tumigil na matuto upang mas mag-improve tayo at maibigay natin sa mga bata yung quality education na kailangan nila. Sabi nga po ni Doc, kung gusto mong maka-impluwensya sa mga estudyante mo, galingan mo magturo. Para yung galing at kaalaman na meron ka ay maipasa mo sa bawat batang dadaan sa iyo at hahawakan mo. One of the challenges of the 21st century learning to curriculum leaders is to develop habits of mind among the learners. Costa and Calic, 2009, identified the following habits of mind. Be independent thinkers. Think before they act. Ibig sabihin, kailangan matuto yung mga bata na pag-isipan muna mabuti yung mga bagay-bagay bago gumawa ng desisyon. Lalo na kung yung desisyon na to ay makakaapekto at makakapagpabago sa buhay nila. Next, be more self-motivated. Ibig sabihin, magkaroon ng initiative na gumawa ng walang nag-uutos o walang katulong. Matutong i-push at i-motivate ang sarili na abutin ng mga pangarap para sa buhay. Next is be more inquisitive. Ibig sabihin, matutong magtanong muna, mag-imbestiga, mag-research para may background knowledge ka sa papasukin mo. Next is pay attention to detail, take pride in work. Matuto na nabigyang pansin kahit yung maliliit na bagay. Dahil minsan yung akala natin na maliliit na pagkakamali sa gawa natin na hindi naman mapapansin kaya pinabayaan na lang natin at hindi na natin inayos. Yun pala yung mas makakapagpasama pa sa atin. Next is be more diligent and persistent. Matuto na mag-focus at mag-concentrate mabuti sa ginagawa at magkaroon ng drive para hindi sumuko agad. Dahil pag sumuko tayo agad, tayo din yung talo. Next, enjoy working through the work. Magkaroon ng joy sa paggawa ng kahit na ano. At huwag magpaka-stress. I-enjoy yung paggawa ng mga bagay-bagay kahit na nakakapagod. Mas maganda syempre ang magiging resulta kapag binibigyan natin ng pagmamahal yung bawat ginagawa natin. Next is think for themselves, not always follow another's lead. Matuto na magkaroon ng sariling sabi, hindi pwedeng lagi ka lang gagaya sa ginagawa at sinasabi ng iba. Next, generate their own thoughts. Matutong mag-isip ng sariling gawa, ng sariling ideas at maging unique. Next, be self-directed. Use strategies of problem solving. Matuto na i-control yung sarili. Matutong maghanap ng solusyon sa mga problema gamit ang sarili mong ideas. Next is transfer knowledge and apply to new situations. Matuto na i-apply sa totoong buhay yung mga natutunan mo sa school at yung mga alam mo. Hindi pwedeng yung alam mo nga ang steps sa pagsasaing pero hindi mo naman alam at hindi ka naman talaga maalam sa aktwal kung paano magsaing. Next, have confidence, be able to take risks. Matuto na maging confident, huwag matakot mag-take ng risk kasi minsan kailangan nating lumabas sa comfort zone natin para matuto. Huwag matakot na magkamali, pero subukang huwag magkamali. Next is support answers so that they can show evidence of their thinking. Matuto na magpakita ng proofs sa mga sinasabi mo. Hindi pwedeng galing lang sa chismis, kailangan ay palaging totoo at may pruweba. And lastly, communicate with each other. Work it out together. No man is an island. Matuto tayong humingi ng tulong sa iba. Kahit gaano ka pa kagaling, meron kang hindi alam na alam ng iba. Sabi nga ni Bill Nye, everyone you'll ever meet knows something you don't. Exercising curriculum leadership in selecting textbooks and other instructional materials. Teachers should be empowered to select textbooks and other instructional materials that they use in their classes. Sa ibang schools, yung mga teachers talaga ay included o talagang nakikiparticipate sa pagpili ng textbooks na gagamitin nila for teaching. Pero sa maraming schools, administrators ang naka-assign na mamili ng textbooks na gagamitin sa schools. Pero syempre, given na dapat talaga kasali yung teacher sa process ng pag-select ng instructional materials. Kasi teachers naman yung gagamit niyan. Diyan sila magbe-base ng ituturo nila. At dahil nga teachers naman ang kasama ng mga bata, mas alam nila kung ano yung needs at nature ng students nila. In 2015, the Department of Education developed a framework for developing and selecting textbooks and other instructional materials. The framework prescribes that all textbooks and instructional materials are aligned to the K-12 curriculum. Kailangan ang materials na gagamitin ay sumusunod sa curriculum standards and competencies na meron ang K-12 curriculum. Contain expert system of knowledge. Dapat yung mga authors talaga na expert sa field ng education ang magsusulat ng textbooks and other instructional materials. Kailangan din ang content ng materials ay totoo, accurate, may basehan at up-to-date. Next, have provision for differentiated instruction. Kailangan provided ang activities at assessment strategies na relevant sa learning style ng students. Kailangan makater ang needs ng mga hindi agad makasabay sa discussion at makater din ang needs ng mga students na advanced at fast learners kasi hindi lahat ng students ay magkakapareho. Next is provision for reflective thinking. Instructional materials and textbooks should engage the learners to develop deeper understanding of the lessons. Kailangan ma-develop at ma-encourage ang bawat skills ng mga bata. And lastly, provision for parental and community involvement. Kailangan ang textbooks ay mag-provide ng activities para ma-encourage yung students na i-involve yung sarili nila sa bahay at sa komunidad na ginagalawan nila. Hindi naman pwedeng puro aral lang at kailangan aware ka sa nangyayari sa paligid mo at dapat maalam ka din syempre na magluto, magsaing at maglaba. Kailangan siguraduhin ng teachers as curriculum leaders na lahat ng kailangan nilang material sa pagtuturo at pag-implement ng curriculum ay provided. Kailangan din na siguraduhin nila na lahat ng ito ay relevant and responsive to the needs of the learners. Developing teachers as curriculum leaders. Curriculum leaders are trained and developed. They are products of different in-service and pre-service teacher education programs. They also develop their skills from their teaching experiences and encounter with great teachers. Kung ano yung ituturo ng teacher sa mga bata, yun ay product ng kung ano yung natutunan nila while they're teaching at mga bagay na naituro sa kanila ng mga teachers nila at ng experiences nila as a teacher. There are few important factors that need to be considered in the development of teachers as curriculum leaders. First, teacher empowerment. Teachers need to be empowered to make important decisions, solve problems, take actions, and innovate in their own schools and classes. An empowered teacher means having enough resources and freedom to provide every student with the education that they deserve. Next, efficient system. Teachers need to work in an efficient working environment. Kailangan parte sila ng isang system na collaborative, professional, and effective dahil napaka-important ng working environment sa kahit na anong trabaho. Baka maapektuhan ng pagtuturo ng isang guro kapag hindi maganda at toxic ang working environment niya. Next is mentoring system. Siyempre kahit naman teachers na, ay kailangan pa din ng mentors para masubaybayan at masuportahan yung pagtuturo nila. Kailangan ng mentors para malaman ng teachers kung ano pa yung ways para mas madaling i-deliver yung lessons. Ang mentors ay responsible for sa pagprovide ng support at feedback sa taong in charge sa kanya. Next, administrative support. At any level, teachers will need full support from the administration, lalo na kapag gusto nila na mag-conduct ng isang program para sa mga students para matulungan sila na mas mabilis na matuto. Lastly, learning community. Ayan, dapat ang mga teachers ay surrounded ng mga taong susuporta at tutulong sa kanya na mas pagandahin ang learning environment ng mga bata. Environment na walang inggitan sa pagtuturo dahil ang bawat isang teacher na kasama mo sa trabaho ay makakatulong mo din na makabuo ng ideas at best ways and practices ng pagtuturo na makukuha nyo sa isa't isa. Like any leader, teachers need support from various individuals and groups, especially in their schools.
Now, let's have a recap about our topic, teachers as curriculum leaders. So, teachers are considered curriculum and instructional leaders in various levels of education. As curriculum leaders, they perform different roles and functions that are essential in planning and designing and the development and implementation, and also in the evaluation of the curriculum. Letter A, they provide technical support in curriculum planning. Letter B, they design curriculum from basic education to higher education. Next is letter C, they help develop the curriculum content and activities including the assessment tools. Letter D, they implement the curriculum in various capacities as administrators or as classroom teachers. Letter C is they help evaluate the curriculum, and letter F, they introduce curriculum innovations. Instructional leadership is one of the functions of teachers as curriculum leaders. A, supervise the implementation of curriculum and academic standards. Letter B, promote a school culture and climate conducive to teaching and learning. Letter C, communicate the philosophy, vision, and mission of the school. Letter D, train teachers and school staff. Letter E, lead in the development or purchase of instructional materials. Letter F, prepare the school budget for instruction. Letter G, observe classes of teachers. Letter H, check assessment tools, exams, and authentic assessment.
Educators today are being challenged to promote a culture of excellence in schools. Napakahirap na bumuo ng educational system na haharap at magdidil sa napakadaming problema at challenges na meron tayo ngayon. Kailangan kasabay ng pagiging mahusay nating guro, ang puso natin at determinasyon sa pagtuturo. Dahil napakadaming bata ang kailangan ng mahuhusay na guro lalo na ngayon. Kaya sana kahit nakakapagod, ngayon pa lang na students tayo, huwag tayong sumuko sa pangarap natin maging guro barang araw. Your labor is not in vain. Padayon, future educators.